Do you feel like you're just not able to accomplish your goals? Like maybe there's something special that other people have that you just don't quite have, and you're kind of frustrated about it. Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to talk about how to stop limiting yourself. This is the
Cool.
Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Hey, Danny,
Yeah,
if you could be limitless, what on earth would you do? Actually,
I
no,
feel it.
scratch that. Scratch that. If you were a superhero, what would your power be?
What would your power be? You know, it's funny. I heard somebody mention that, by the way, on the superhero thing, and it does make sense. It's such a bad question when you say, "What would your power be?" Because none of them have one. If you only had one, you're not very like help. Like, look, yeah, it'd be
Okay, yeah.
awesome. It would be awesome to fly and stuff, and it'd be helpful. But like, if you don't have super strength and stuff, who's gonna fight crime? You can't.
Well, you only
You
get
just get
one.
your
You
ass
only get
kicked.
one for this instance. I mean, what was the Hulk's second power? Like he was super strong and he could just like rip pants. Is that the second?
I mean, he was super strong. He basically didn't get hurt, so I guess he's good in a fight. I mean, that's the point, right?
Uh-huh.
That strength
Yeah.
is crucial. I
Okay,
think if you're gonna fight
stop
stuff.
dodging the question
All right,
here.
all right. Back to it though. Anyway, well, I think that's it though. I think if we had no limits, we would all be doing so much more than we are now. You know what I
So
mean?
you're
Because
not
I
gonna
think,
give us your
oh,
superpower.
superpower. I always wanted a power where I could like this is like, I guess, just touch things and know them, like read a book by just touching it, because I feel like that'd be faster and better, and I can know a lot.
Mm, darn it, that's a really good one.
That's one I've had in my mind for a very long time.
Man,
Yeah, because I
I
read
want
a
that
lot,
one now.
and it would be a lot faster. Just take all the way
I
down
was
and
gonna
over.
say invisible.
No, that's a good one too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, being able to read a book by just touching it, that I fantasized about that when I was a kid.
yeah, me too. Me too. It'd be so easy. Well, invisibility too. I feel like you just could instantly go down a bad path of, you know, I mean, what are you going to use it for besides like
Yeah.
crime?
Yep, pretty much.
I can't imagine
Pretty-
circumstances where I need that other than when I'm doing things that I don't shouldn't be
Oh, the
doing. So,
invisible man saved the world.
I robbed another bank, that asshole.
All right.
Jesus.
Yeah. All right. So now, onto the real topic, how to be limitless or how to stop
Yeah.
limiting yourself. So what's your take on this?
I mean, I feel like I said, I think this is like one of the biggest challenges we all faced. We live in a society where we're socialized, we think certain ways, and we have expectations, but we also have limits on ourselves. We believe ourselves capable of certain things and not others. We think we can't do certain things. And throughout our lives, like there's so many things we might have done if we felt like we had the confidence we weren't limited. We didn't have the fears that we have, we didn't have the pressures that we have, we didn't have the naysayers. And so I think like if you think about it, people would probably be doing a lot more great things with their lives if they didn't feel limited or be doing things that they really want to do rather
Hmm.
than doing things that they thought they should do because somebody said they should do it or thought the things they settled for because they thought they couldn't reach higher. I think that's the biggest problem with our limits.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because there's always this like foggy mythical they who
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're suppressing me. It's the man,
yeah.
like I can't do stuff because of them. And I think there was an exercise in Martha Beck's book, The Way of Integrity, where she was like, okay, write down all the things that they're stopping you from doing. Okay.
Those
And
jerks.
then, yeah, those jerks. And under each thing that they're stopping you from doing, who are the real people in life who's stopping you? The real, just list them all millions of them, all million they. And she's
Yeah,
like, usually it's like one, two, maybe three people. And it's like, they're stopping me. And it's like,
yeah.
nobody really cares that much about you to stop you.
No.
They're just up to other stuff.
Well, and it's funny. It's like, we have these self-concepts, these ideas of ourselves that are so informed by the outside too, that those limit us too, what we're capable of, what we're able to do, whether we fit in somewhere or whether we're an imposter, those beliefs, but they're all our beliefs. That's the funny thing. They might in some cases originate from outside, but they're still ours. And so there's something we have to overcome rather than, any day out there. There's no one stopping us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that you've done in life to deal with some of these limitations? And maybe I'll give you some too.
It's hard, I think, to deal with them. It is because I think when they're really deep seated, like things that you've thought for a long time, It can be really hard to get past it and to think like you're good enough to do something or able to. And so sometimes I think just starting doing something, like even as a hobby or something, might be a good way. Like if there's something you've always wanted to do but thought you couldn't, just start doing it. Just
Hmm.
start doing it, like even just a little bit a day, and try and see that you can make progress and become familiar with it, and it becomes less scary as you do it and becomes more possible the more you do it. And I think that's a really great method of starting.
Yeah, that's a great point. Just get into it, fail your way forward. And that's the important thing, like fail.
Yeah.
If you really want to do something and you think there's some crazy limitation that's going to stop you, well, go ahead and fail 10 times or fail 100 times or fail 1,000 times.
Well, here's the hard part though. You have to fail and then you have to keep going. And I think
Yeah.
for a lot of people, that's where that limit kicks in, right? Because they fail once and it's an easy way out. And because we're scared, right? That's the other weird thing. I think we're scared of also realizing what we're capable of beyond those limits because they've been with us for so long.
Yeah. And it's so easy to look to these externals. Like we go on TV, we see these like superstar athletes. We go
Oh
on
yeah.
social media, we see these influencers who made it. We go any like these pop stars and all these different people who just like made it out of nowhere. The overnight success. They
Yeah.
never did anything. And then they posted one video and all of a sudden they're a billionaire and everybody loves them. And it's just like, okay, that's not realistic.
Yeah. Not at all. Oh, that's another good one too. Is also like, you know, find people you admire that are doing that thing and actually look at their life. Read their biography if they have one, or look at their life history and stuff. Look what they do, and you'll find out that they're regular people. They have problems
Yeah.
too. You
Oh
know?
my gosh. I'm glad you said that because that is such a really good one. Like I remember when I read the biography of Quincy Jones and also even like Will Smith, some of I mean, basically any biography you can read, aside from Ben Franklin's, because his was like his brother and sister made fun of him for buying a whistle for too much money.
Or
And
Matthew
that's like,
McConaughey.
okay. Well, like, yeah, Matthew McConaughey. He's like, I had one bad year in my life. And it's like, good, wow. Yeah, but no,
It was
like
tough though.
Quincy Jones. Yeah, Quincy Jones had like a miserable childhood, like absolutely miserable. Or I think what was another one? Finding Me by whoever. But another like crazy childhoods that you would not wish upon your worst enemy. And Viola Davis, that's who it was. And it's like they survived that stuff. And no wonder they're a success because they made it through so much stuff. And it's like most of us, we have difficulties. Somebody made fun of me in school, people don't
Yeah.
accept me for who I am, like all this stuff. And it's like, you you like get over yourself
Yeah.
and learn to deal with it.
Well, it's funny too. Like most of the people we hold up as like really big examples, they had like really huge adversities. And if you look at like Martin Luther King, if you look at Gandhi and all these people that like struggled, really difficult things, but they kept at it, even in the face of like, real adversity, real days that they
Yeah,
could
like
name and
real big
existed.
T traumas in their life.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
they,
real
yeah,
big T people that were out there, like, or whatever, big P people, I guess I should say, whatever it is.
yeah.
But yeah, like literal actual adversaries, but they overcame it because they had a cause they were fighting for or something that really mattered to them. And I think, yes, we might all need to do that in our own lives, but we have our own causes, which is our life, right? And trying to be whatever we want to be or the best we can be. So I think it's totally possible. And if you look at those examples, you realize like they were people too. That's all they were,
Hmm.
just
Yeah,
people.
and yeah, definitely. And there's really nothing different than between them and anyone else. Here's something that I like to do. So every once in a while, I pull out the old journal and I do some
Ooh,
brainstorming. And I like to ask a couple questions. I like to ask one, if I could do anything, if there were no limits, what would I do?
that's a good
If I
question.
had all the money in the world, all the time in the world, all the intelligence in the world, all the connections in the world, everything, what would I do? And then I also like to ask, if all jobs paid the same, what would I do to fill my time? What job would I take? And I like those because they open up my mind. So like when I was younger, I used to think like, oh, there's certain things I can do, there's certain things I can't do. And then I was watching some movie. I don't remember uh if it was real, like based on a true story or not, but basically like some dude's flying in
RoboCop.
Alaska. Yeah, I
No,
know.
sorry.
Right? That one's definitely true with what's happening nowadays with AI. But yeah, some dude was
No, yeah,
flying a
that's funny.
plane in Alaska. His plane crashes, and then he like has to survive in Alaska. I think he like fights a bear hand to hand. I don't remember. It was a number of years ago. But basically, he survived because he believed that anything one person can do, another person can do as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, and that's a belief that's a very freeing belief because pretty much anything you want to do has already been done. Somebody's done it, and most likely somebody's written a book about it. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like yeah, so like
Helpful.
that belief is a very freeing belief because if somebody else can do it, I can definitely do it. It may take a lot of time, it may take a lot of work. It may be something that I don't want to put in the work to do. Like for instance, great example, playing guitar. When I played guitar for like 14 years, and I was always average, maybe a little bit above average, but I wasn't willing to put in the time, energy, effort in order to be spectacular. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I could be an insane guitarist, but I'm not willing to put in that effort. And that's why I'm not.
But you know, it's funny, the things that we are willing to put the effort in, we're naturally like drawn to them. You know, they're different than just our hobbies and the things we're passionate about. We'll end up putting the time in because we want to anyway. And I think that's a good way also to find like what you're interested in is just the things that you keep getting drawn back to, even when you don't do them, right? Like it just keeps coming up in your mind, keeps coming back. That's why I think like the journaling is a great method because you can actually hopefully discover those and make those more conscious rather than something that's just kind of in the background that you're not thinking about. Going, yeah, it's funny too. I think like a lot of us too. I think age helps a lot too because I think like when we're younger, you know, you listen to like, your parents and stuff who might have other reasons for recommending things. You know, maybe it's something they want to do. Maybe it's like they want to be proud and they'd be very proud if you were X, Y, or Z, or maybe they're thinking about whatever practical things or something. Who knows? But like it gets easier, I think, as you get older too, to kind of see that everybody's just people and you can do it. I think personally, one of my hard things too is like I think like you know changing careers or changing what you're doing later in life feels very hard when you start because it's like I'm starting over from zero. Everybody else has had X number of years, maybe a decade or more to like do this thing. How can I possibly do it? But then like when you really look at it, you realize, well, one, I'm not at zero because I have all my experiences, so I do have stuff to bring to the table, and it's totally still possible. You just have to do
Mm-hmm.
it. Like if you want it, you can make that life. It's not impossible to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just had that experience recently where I went from something that I knew so well that it was pretty much autopilot to being a complete noob, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like back when I was working as a veterinarian, I didn't enjoy the job, but I was very good at it. And I mean, like just hearing what an animal was coming in for, I pretty much knew what was wrong with it. And that's kind of a dangerous double-edged sword because you don't want to get too far down that road because you'll
Too
just start
cocky.
diagnosing the wrong stuff. Yeah.
It's this.
But yeah, because you'll start seeing stuff that's not there to verify your own
Yeah.
diagnosis. But also, like, I didn't have to look up any medications and any medication dosages anymore, just because like I've been doing it for so long that I knew all that stuff. So the job was basically I was on autopilot most of the time.
Isn't that
And
funny
so
though? I think
now,
that I think that with
yeah,
teaching too. Like when I first started, it would take me so long to get my courses prepped and stuff. Now I just go, I don't even carry notes with me or anything. Just go and do it. It's like so easy. It's just like it's all there in your head, so you don't have to worry about it. And it gets
hmm
so simple. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Back to your story.
yeah. And so now starting over something new, it's scary because all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm back at square one where I'm the noob who knows nothing. And I'm gonna make mistakes and fail my way to success, you know?
That's the biggest scary. That's the other scary thing that I think, and one of the biggest limits on us is like we get to that point of comfort where we get to the point where we're doing it, we're so used to it, and it's like imagining getting to that point with something else seems so hard, and then it's like, should I give this up? Even though I don't like it, should I give it up just because it's so easy? And it's like, yes, you should. Like, yes, but that's the scary thing, right? That's the other limit is like the fear that you won't be as good in the other thing, or it won't be, you're walking away from something that's easy and, maybe that's problematic, who knows?
Yo, that's another big limitation, the sunk cost fallacy. So, like,
Hmm.
this is something that all the time when I tell people I used to be a veterinarian, they're like, what do you mean used to? I'm like, yeah, it was a job I didn't like. I do
Technically, you're
different stuff
still, I
now.
mean, I guess you're
Yeah,
still a
technically I
veterinarian.
still am, but like, I don't practice anymore. And they're like, what do you, isn't that a whole bunch of school you have to go through? And I'm like, yeah. And I also worked 10 years in emergency and like did all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot. And they're like, why would you stop doing that? And it's like, I don't like it. They're like, yeah, but you were a veterinarian. Why would you stop doing that? And I was like, did you not just hear me say I don't like it? Like, and they're like, yeah, but a lot of school. And I was like, yes, it was a costly mistake. I get it. I went 250,000 into debt. I put
Thanks for
a lot of
reminding me.
schooling in there. Yeah, I get it. But it's like the idea that just because you've made this mistake for so long up until now, you can't correct it or you can't change it or you can't try something different.
Well, that's it, right? It's the belief that you put in this time, that's it, you're stuck. And I always hated that notion because it's like it feels like you are, and it does feel like you're trapped sometimes, right? It does when you're in it because it's like it feels impossible that you could ever get somewhere else, have the time, find a way to do it. There's always a way. And it feels so much better when you make the decision. But it is scary making it. And I think sometimes you just have to sit with that fear too and face it and keep coming up against it till eventually you get past it and you're able to like,
Mm-hmm.
start doing the new thing. But yeah, it's so funny, right? Like, why would you keep doing that if you hated it? It's so like, oh, I'm gonna be miserable the rest of my life because I put some time in,
It,
you
it's
know?
when you think about it, it's like, yeah, but you wasted 20 years of your life doing it. You should waste the next 50
Yeah,
years of your
the
life.
rest of
Like,
your life doing it. Be
it's
unhappy
like
forever
why?
because you put some time in, damn it.
Yeah.
It's funny. It is
Uh-huh.
funny when you think it, but that is how people think, though, and it's that fear. But that's the other thing, too. I think if we were living a few hundred years ago, it might be different because our life expectancy was way shorter. And
Yeah, like
chances
30
are,
years old.
yeah, and
I
your
would have
options,
died 10
yeah,
years ago.
yeah, I would have been dead already, rested. And your options, were way less, too, I think. The opportunities you had were way less because, not everybody was educated, not everybody had access to stuff. It was just a lot harder. But now things have changed. And like, we also live way longer, where like most people are going to be working, well, especially now, they're going to be working well into like their probably 70s. So it's like, think about that. When you tell yourself, do I have time? You do. You have a whole nother lifetime to change. And I think
Mhm.
the other thing that really helped me too was thinking about like, when you go to school when you're younger, you do all this stuff, you put time in, but you're an adult now. You're probably better at learning, probably better at managing your time, better doing a lot of things that'll make it faster too and easier to acquire the skills. You have the life skills, you have all the skills that are also sort of soft skills that are necessary for anything. And they'll apply too in any new field or new endeavor.
Mhm. Yeah, you make a good point about this like extended life that we have. And like retirement, I mean, if people retire at 60, they're alive another 20, 30 years. That's like literally a whole nother career that they have.
Do all of the
So
stuff.
like to sit around and do nothing, what a waste. I've never like thought that I would retire because I have a hard time sitting still. But like
Yeah, me too. I don't know how I
I'm just
would.
trying to find things that I enjoy doing on a regular basis so that I can do them for the rest of my life.
And not hate my life. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
Yeah. There was this
Uh,
book, I haven't read it yet. It's called Ikigai. It's all about how Japanese are very good at finding things that they love and they never really retire. So it's kind of what we're talking about, but I don't know if the book's going to be good or bad or otherwise. So,
well,
yeah.
I think I don't know. That's like I've always felt that way. I have a lot of hobbies and stuff. There's a lot of things I want to do, and I think they're good for
Hmm.
that purpose, right? Because they can also become something else. And a lot of times that's where I find the things that I really do. At least when I pay attention, they're the things that I really actually want to do too. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And once I pay attention to it, then I realize what I actually want to be doing besides what I'm doing now. That's helpful
Hmm.
too.
Yeah. The we talked earlier about how, anything that you want to do, somebody's probably already done it and wrote a book about it.
Yes.
That's a great way. Like if there's something that you want to do, but you feel limited, why don't you read some books on it?
Yeah. Or like listen, or if there's like a podcast or something, listen to the podcast on it or something because it's a good way. I'll give you an example. It's funny. Like I love photography, and there's this uh Sony Alpha photographer podcast. They interview like Sony or whatever people that are like within their network of photographers, and it's so funny because like I'll listen to it. And I think about trying to do that more um like professionally, and I listen to it, and like a lot of these people started like when they started, I'm like that was like 4 years ago or whatever. It's like it's not even that long. Like a lot of stuff we think about, we think it's impossible, but like the time really isn't that much of a commitment to get started. Yeah, you might be a noob. Yeah, you're gonna fail. Yeah, you're gonna hit some roadblocks like anybody does when they start something new. But you're gonna be happier doing it because it's what you want to do. And you're gonna be more willing to face those things and find ways to overcome them and keep going because it actually is something you want. which I think makes it
Hmm.
way better.
Yeah, there's definitely this whole like instant gratification culture where everybody thinks they're supposed to be a billionaire today. And like I saw something with
Well,
this
it's the
guy
lie
who,
of the overnight success. It's like they
yeah,
always tell us that every goddamn story is, rags to riches in like a day. And it's
yeah.
like,
I saw something today that just reminded me of how long things actually take. There's this guy who's doing very well financially right now, and right now everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's gosh, why can't I be that?"
he's
And
awesome.
yeah, and he showed a picture of like I don't know, 35 years ago, him working in McDonald's, and it's like you know,
Yeah.
back then nobody freaking knew he would turn into what he did now. So no
Nobody
matter
wanted to
where
be
you,
him. Yeah.
yeah, no matter where you are, you can still be something different. But it's what you do in that 35 years.
I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly too, Beck, the musician,
Yeah.
he's won tons of awards and stuff. He actually was writing his first songs for his first album at McDonald's, I think is where he worked, if I remember correctly. It was someplace like that. Like,
Well, there
like
you have it, an N of two. If you want to be a success, you better work at McDonald's.
get a job there, start there.
Warren Buffett eats McDonald's every day. So I think we just figured out the secret to success.
You'll be so miserable that you'll find a way out.
That's actually, yeah,
Yeah, there is a
actually,
truth
that is
there.
a brilliant, very, very true. So, like, when I was a veterinarian, it was miserable for me, and I would do anything to get out of it. Especially, I had this one boss, I could not stand her, and like she made my skin crawl. Like
Ugh.
anytime she called, she came in, anything, even people said her name, and my skin would crawl. Like that motivated me so much to put in so much extra effort to do anything else because I knew that I did not want to stay there.
Well, it's funny. It's like that's the truth because like I in my own job too, like I had thought about it and thought about switching and stuff earlier, but it wasn't until things got like till the organization, the structure of the institution got bad that I really just couldn't take it anymore. And then that really motivated me. But it's like I didn't have to wait to that point. And in some sense, like, yeah, it would have been better if I didn't, but it was a good motivator to find that time to make the changes. And I think if you're really unhappy with where you are, start making the changes and like they don't have to be big, but like you'll start to see how much better you feel doing the other thing and you'll start to find time for it. And like, before you know it, you'll be on your route to doing that thing. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it is. When we're up against the wall, sometimes we figure out things faster. It's the truth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
eh,
Absolutely. And I'm such a big fan of the compound effect because it's like you just need to do small little things consistently over a long time. That's it. You don't the big changes in your life don't come from these big shifts. Most of the time it's just from a small little shift over a long period of time. Like they say that if you do something 5 minutes a day, it's better than if you do it 3 hours one time a week. And so you're saving a boatload of time there, but it's the consistency that helps you learn it and helps you do it. And so, like now in my life, when I try and do anything new, like because I know it's one of the gifts of getting older that like I can see what I've done in the past and what's worked and what hasn't worked. And I know I am very like upfront. I put in a lot of energy, a lot of effort, way too much, and then it's hard to continue that on. So I intentionally, when I start something new, I throttle myself to what's the absolute minimum that I can sustain over a long period of time, the absolute minimum, and that's all I do. And so for the first couple of weeks or couple months, I'm like chomping at the bit, like, come on, I want to do more, but I
yeah,
can't because
yeah.
I know after a few months are over, that's all I'm going to want to do. So I try and do the bare minimum possible to be able to do it over a long period of time.
It's a good method though, so you don't wear yourself out fast and then you just stick with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once and you're right, doing something every day too really does help. And I think too, with our limits too, going back to like what we were saying earlier, they are just beliefs. That's all they are. They're just beliefs we have about ourselves, about our capabilities, about where we fit in the world. And sometimes the only way to get over them too is to first acknowledge them, face them, and also ask yourself where they come from. Like I think journaling can be super helpful here, or talking to someone if you have a counselor or something you're talking to, or whatever, that can also be helpful. But like getting clear about what is like, why am I not doing this? What is actually preventing me? Write it down. What am I scared of? What are the roadblocks that I might face? And then you can start asking, well, given all those things, how can I do it? And you can start changing how you think about it, how you think of yourself, how you think of your fears, and realize they're just things they're just obstacles you're placing in your own way.
I like that. I did that this past week where there was something that was really stressing me out, and it was an irrational thing too, because I knew rationally in my brain it
Stupid,
wouldn't be a
irrational
problem.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
know, right? What is it doing? Uh, so like I knew rationally I could handle it because I've handled it a whole bunch of times before. But like there was
Yeah.
this thing in like deep down in my brain where I was just like completely stressed about it. So I, like you were saying there, I wrote down like, what am I so scared of? Because without writing it down, I wasn't able to really like nail it down and figure out what it was. And so after some writing, I figured out exactly. I mean, it didn't even take. Literally, I wrote, "What am I scared of?" And then the next line, I wrote exactly what I was
That's
scared
what
of.
I'm scared
But,
of.
but like,
Once I admit it to myself, yeah,
I
it
know.
is.
Once I wrote it down, it was literally like, okay, so I'm scared this will happen. What can I do about it? And
Yeah.
literally, 10 minutes later, all of that stuff was gone.
But that is the weird thing though, is like at least I mean that's my experience too, is like 99% of the time, like it's something that's vague until I actually sit down to face it, and then it's very clear because I know exactly what it is. I'm just not admitting it. Like most of the time we make it like when we don't admit what it is or don't acknowledge it, it's this vague thing. But you do know what it is. And it could be anything. I mean, sometimes it's being afraid of success or being afraid of just change. People are afraid of change. It's true. Like, like imagining a world where it's different. It's like, do you ever like I know plenty of people who were in relationships for too long, right? And part of their fear was that they were afraid of like the world without that normalcy. Even if it wasn't good, it's still normal, right? And trying to make something new is always scary for us because it's new. There's unknowns. But it'll probably be better if you're unhappy with the norm. So
Hmm.
it's worth a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I always try and remind myself that I'm gonna die. Like,
We are gonna die.
how much longer do we have? So I just remind myself that I'm gonna die and be like, you know what? All of this stuff, I know, like I always say, 100 years we're all gonna be dead. But like realistically, it's gonna be a lot more soon than that. And so,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
because we've been
all
saying
of these,
100 years for 40 years, so
I know, right? So what's the math? That's got to be like 90 years left.
yeah, 120.
And right. But it's just like all of this stuff is gone. And in the grand scheme of thing, all of these problems and all of these limitations that I have, they're not going to matter at all. And whether I become the success that I want to be, that I don't think I can be, or whether I just do absolutely nothing with my life and completely mess it up according to what I think is messing it up, it's not going to matter.
Nope.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's just keep
that's the
moving and yeah.
that's the other good thing. Though you're right though. Like I think that's one of the things I've always like admired about the existentials. You die, and like you get this one chance. Don't waste it. Like if you are unhappy, start exploring why. Look at those beliefs that are limiting you. They're causing obstacles, and start addressing it because it's just better. And even if you fail, who cares? Just keep going because there's really nothing stopping you until you stop yourself. That's it. That is a crazy thing. We are like literally, we are the our greatest like force, but also our greatest obstacle. Always. It's rarely outside things that are like,
Hmm.
yes, there's outside factors, things can happen, of course, but like there's always ways around them. And it's usually us causing ourselves not to do something.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard it said it's like we're standing behind prison bars, like shaking the bars, like, come on, let me out.
The door's
Except,
open.
yeah, there's nothing on the other side of the bars. Like
Yeah,
we can just
yeah.
go around. But we're like, let me out of this. Why are
It's
you
true
limiting
though.
me?
It's true because we convince ourselves that we can't do it. We convince ourselves we don't have time. Like, and like it's funny because like I know people listening to this will be like, "Well, I got bills to pay. I got this to do." And it's like, yeah, you do. Everybody does. That's totally true. But you know, look at your life. How much time are you spending when you come home because you're tired watching TV, scrolling on your phone? Can you make time out of that for other stuff? You probably can. There's always a way if you really want to do it. And it's hard at first, but it gets easier, you know?
Dude, it's uncomfortable too. Because I'm dealing
Yeah.
with that right now where, Zelda came out a few months ago and I started taking time out of doing what I should have been doing in my life and playing Zelda. And so
That's
now
fun.
I'm to
Yeah.
that point where I'm in a time crunch and I have to pull time back from Zelda and it's painful because I want to play Zelda, but I have things that are more important to me than playing Zelda.
Yeah. It happens all the time, right? It does. Like I have plenty of games I put down for that reason. And it's like
Mhm.
And finding that balance is always hard too, of like, giving yourself a break and doing things that are fun, but also keep moving forward. And it's very difficult. It's not easy,
Hmm.
but I think, it is funny that like I think when you start to break down those limitations, those beliefs though, things do open up in a way that they were not open before. I see it in my own life. Like I feel like there's more possibilities now than ever, and I'm 40 and I've already had a career. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting because it's like you just open up the world to yourself and it's cool. It's better.
Hmm. Bingo. And life just gets better.
It does get better.
Hmm. Yeah. So there you have it. That's how to deal with limitations that they're putting on
That
you.
they are putting on you.
Yeah.
That fucking the world.
And
Ugh, and all
hey,
those
they're
people.
doing it. They're doing it. Anyways, if you did enjoy this, make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you could give us a rating, particularly a good one on maybe Apple Podcasts or wherever, it's like gold to podcasts. So that helps us out greatly. Also, we're putting together something to greatly benefit your lives, and we want your input into what you would like. So if you have 5 minutes, there is a little survey down in the description, also in the show notes. And anyone who does participate, you'll be able to participate, or you'll be able to use this product for free. So we do appreciate that. Anyways, like, share, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.